generation of fiqh that we are talking about, how to generate fiqh. And fiqh is not legislation. We're not talking about tashri'ah here. This is different. We're talking about fiqh as an understanding of the Quran that is applied to phenomena in the reality. And that is the transdisciplinarity that we're talking about. And we said, okay, let us have 5 steps. But again, this is not an algorithm, and you're not supposed to look at these in terms of silos of steps, but rather intersecting and interacting proposals that we're making. We said that the first element is to define a purpose versus defining a problem. And that is important if you want to take a Quranic perspective to your research. Because once you define a problem, then you are imprisoned in a particular approach, a particular discipline. If you define a problem without having a purpose defined, so you are a researcher in a particular university and you are studying psychology, and your problem definition is based on the premises of that discipline. So your problem definition is depression, let's say, and how to deal with depression. This is an erroneous start of your research, because where did you get the term depression from? And what are the theories upon which you based your definition of depression? And what is your purpose of that? The purpose, when you deal with psychological sciences that deal with counseling and so on, the higher purpose is the service of the society in terms of a good citizen kind of purpose. So the end result of your research, when you go to a counselor, the counselor is trying to make you part of the society, of a social structure that we have in any society. And therefore, the higher purpose of the dealing with you in terms of psychology that people research when they research depression has to do with being able to function in the society. But to function for what purpose? And to do what? And what are the higher objectives is not really part of that. So when you deal with a discipline and you have a question, a research question, the research question, even if it sounds appealing from an Islamic point of view, it would be erroneous to do that without having a purpose. Like, why am I studying that? What are the higher purposes? Okay, higher purposes, I want to please Allah and I want to go to Jannah when I die. Okay, and what does this mean at a lower level of maqasid, a lower level of objectives? What am I trying to do exactly in terms of knowledge and so forth that is going to be inspired by the Quran, by the Book of Allah? So that's why we're saying here that the purpose is just one step, and you have the second step, the Quran and the Sunnah and the cycles of reflection. But these 2 steps are not separate, because once you open the Book of Allah and you try to connect it to the model of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, your purposes are going to develop. Your purposes are going to start to be different. Your purposes in life, your purposes from your research, and the purpose is going to affect the way you look at the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.